What is going on, guys? Welcome back. Commentary for you. Want to thank my sponsor, Steel Supplements. Link and discount code down in the description. You also know I'm a Weeble. Prefer to vote their best promotion in the pin comment. All you need to do, go click the link, open account, agree to the terms and conditions. They are going to give you free stock. I want to thank Josh Isaacs, JIsaacs_91 on Twitter for sharing this clip. Yesterday put up a video of a player levitating into the end zone to score a touchdown. Very dramatic, but to me, from a simulation standpoint, this is just as bad as that. This is Tyreek Hill, 88 speed versus any defensive back. Doesn't matter, 83 speed, because Tyreek Hill is the focal point here. He is the special player, has the speed, gets the separation, and you see there what the game does. I want to focus on this moment right here, because this is what matters X's and O's. Tyreek Hill is trailing this defender at the 35-yard line, and as we go down the field, he is going to use his world-class speed, his skill set, to bridge that gap and actually go past the defensive back. Now, how does Madden deal with this? Right? Madden has a very limited animation library. It pulls the defensive back into an animation, allows him to make up all that ground. Everything here is lost in this 5-yard window here. All that space that was gained, EA gives back because it doesn't have a deep enough animation library. Maybe this defensive back had a good vertical. Maybe he could have got to the ball. I don't know. But the reality is you can't have things like that happen and say that you're replicating football. And I know people are going to sit there and say, no, Ryan, you don't understand. That wasn't a good throw. That was a lob. That should have been a deeper arc. That's the quarterback's fault. We don't know. Right? Maybe Tyreek Hill doesn't catch the ball. Maybe his catch rating is too low to catch that. I don't know. But I do know what you can't have happen to start with is players shifting and warping into animations to give you the outcome of a play when it's this definitive. Because what you're doing is you're making Tyreek Hill's speed not matter, because the animation shifting is what generated the outcome of the play. So everything else to me is actually not even consequential to the play, because we never got to see what could have happened. And these are the things we've asked EA to get rid of. Get a deeper library. This to me is why they sell us thousands of animations. They know as gamers we've seen this for far too long. We want it out of the game. And for whatever reason, they continue to go out and work on sapient technology and sell us all these other things rather than fixing fundamental X's and O's. And as I said, I know yesterday, very dramatic video of a player levitating, going through the field, ball going all around him, scoring a touchdown. To me, yes, visually, that's more stunning to look at. This may be a little more boring in the context of the game, but at the same time, it's the same exact principle of we have a game failing to replicate football. I want to end this video a little different. You guys know I'm a big TTM fan, big autograph collector, love sports memorabilia. Put up a post the other day, went out, met Adley Rutschman, got him to sign his first debut game ball. Actually, a ball that Kyle Bradish pitched to Randy Arozarena in the dirt. Signed it with his MLB debut. Really cool piece of memorabilia, but pretty much two of the athletes I looked up to the most growing up would be Peyton Manning and Nolan Ryan. And I could get Peyton Manning and Nolan Ryan through the mail autographs, and I probably will at some point. This player here would still be on my top 5. And I kind of want to have this discussion with you guys as well. Do you have a player that was one of your favorites, really kind of under the radar? Maybe they had one big moment, but for the most part, they're kind of not that household name. They're just kind of one of those guys that maybe a true football fan remembers. Because for me, it was Marlon Jackson. Sent these cards out to Marlon. This moment right here is when the Colts were secured to go to the Super Bowl. Bob Lamey infamously screaming into the radio, Marlon's got it, as Marlon intercepted Tom Brady in the AFC Championship game. And I was so excited to see Marlon return these cards, not only 2 rookie cards autographed, but that topped moment commemoration card with the Marlon's got it inscription, and of course what ultimately became the Super Bowl champion inscription. Really cool cards to add to my collection. Honestly, when this moment happened, if we could go back in time, I would never think that 8 or 9 years later I'd be opening up an envelope from Marlon Jackson, signing cards commemorating that moment to me. But that to me is what's so special about memorabilia and sports cards. It takes you back to a moment where, even though I would think the 2005 Colt team was a little better, 2006 team is the one that got it done. Marlon was on both teams, but all things being equal, these cards were so cool to get back. And it's ironic because I sent a lot of baseball returns, but today, just to kind of complete things, I got a return from another Super Bowl champ that maybe fits your mold of that player that really doesn't have the biggest name recognition, but was still a pretty fun player to watch. Also, his brother was a great player to watch, and that would be Sonorous Moss. So Sonorous Moss signed both of these cards for me, obviously through the Super Bowl inscription on one. And I gotta say, a lot of things going on in the card industry. Panini maybe losing the ability to print NFL cards, which means as a Colts fan, I may not have the ability to get a licensed Anthony Richardson rookie card. Think about that. If Anthony Richardson goes on to be one of the greatest Colt quarterbacks, and I certainly hope that he does, you might not have a licensed rookie card for him. Isn't that an incredible thing to think about? But it's where we could be. I will say, though, to me, these cards here kind of epitomize the weird cards, the weird attempts at making cards that they were doing kind of like in the mid 2010s, even maybe a little bit before that, where this was a throwback jersey of Lawrence Taylor that Moss wore for a photo shoot specific to these cards, and then they cut that up and then put them on cards for tons of players. So it's not really like a game worn. This is kind of where I think they started as a business to go to this event worn, and then obviously they later moved on to what they refer to as the NFL Rookie Premier, where they would have players wearing cleats and jerseys they would later sell whole and say, well, this is the first time this player wore an NFL jersey, even though it wasn't in a game, it was for a photo shoot for cards. And I guess to a collector, it's kind of cool to say, well, I've got the jersey that was used in those cards, but at the same time, it's kind of a little tricky way of dealing with things. And I know if you collect cards now, so much of it is not specific to a game, player, or event, and you have no idea what the relic patch is. And I'm always very careful when getting relic patches because of that. But to me, this was the start. This was the culmination of the idea where somebody said, you know what? Go down to the store, get a Mitchell and Ness jersey. We're going to have him wear it. We're going to cut it up, and we're going to put it on these cards. This was what birthed the idea of, well, you can put whatever piece of fabric you want on these cards, and we'll just on the back put a little disclaimer that basically says, hey, we don't care where these cards came from. And when I talk about it out loud, it really makes me think about, isn't that how EA takes their approach to football? Like, whatever, who cares? Just tell them it's real, tell them it's simulation, tell them it's the best we've got. They'll figure it out later, or maybe they won't even care. They'll just be happy because they'll open up a card and they'll say, oh, look, there's Sonorous Moss, and there's a little game-used relic, and maybe they won't take the time to look into what it actually is, and they'll just be satisfied they got a product with the NFL license on it, which, of course, is why Panini won't be making NFL license cards, because the NFL was tired of how they did business. Maybe someday the NFL will be tired of how EA does business. Won't that be a glorious day when they say, you know what, we're tired of customers being treated poorly, we're tired of you lying to customers and selling them an inferior product. They have a whole catalog of my videos to fall back on if they want to show that, and tell EA that they need to look elsewhere because they will no longer be making NFL games. Love to know your thoughts on this. Appreciate you watching this video. And like I said, let me know, who was your favorite player that maybe goes under the radar? I love to know who you guys would collect. Or if you had one player that you could send a TTM to send it back that maybe isn't worth thousands or hundreds of dollars, who would it be? Love to know your thoughts on that. Appreciate you watching this. As long as I've got Super Bowl champions sending me cards returned in the mail, how could I not be back in the week with more commentary?